In this video, I'm going to share the different types of stories that you should be telling to build your brand. My name is Kate Putnam. I'm the psychology-driven brand strategist. I help entrepreneurs change the world with what they know, and a crucial component of that is telling great brand stories. If you haven't already, whether this is your first video or 100th video that you're watching of mine, be sure to hit the subscribe because I have tons of exciting new content coming to you very, very soon. The first thing to understand about storytelling for your brand is that not every story that you tell is going to be this epic, long, foundational story that you repeat over and over and over and over. Those are really important, but there's other types of stories that you need to tell as well. There's actually 3 tiers, and I'm going to go over them right now. So, like we said, the foundational tier, the base of your brand storytelling, are the most important stories that you need to spend time developing. I'm actually going to go into 6 different types after we cover the 3 tiers, but just know anything that you're going to share, like say on almost every podcast interview that you get invited on, or if you were to share a story that explained how your business got started or why you exist in the first place. These are stories that you need to hone and hone and hone over time. Your best audience, your VIPs, like your inner circle, is going to get tired of hearing these stories because they're the ones that connect what you do with who you serve. The second tier of storytelling are the illustration stories. These are ones that are used either to illustrate one of your values or to teach a lesson that you want to teach. So these are things that are used less often. You might repeat them occasionally, but it's the things that show up like in your emails or in your course lessons or on social media, things that are going to connect the person that's reading or listening or watching to the message that you're trying to get across. That's why it's called illustration stories. It is bringing the lesson to life. These are probably the ones that you're going to spend the most time developing because they have a little bit lower or shorter shelf life than the foundational story. It's not going to get repeated as often, and you need enough of them to teach all the things that you want to teach to your people. The third tier of storytelling for your brand is going to be the humanizing stories. This might not even be a full story. It might just be like, I woke up and went to the gym today and I got a PR. I squatted 185 pounds or whatever it is. And it's just something that like illustrates a part of your life or a piece of your humanness to your clients. It's like the little details that connect us to people that aren't core to your brand message. They're not even really telling people, much of anything. They're not teaching them something profound, but it's a detail that people can hang on to and relate with you on. One of these that I've given the example of before is I love Game of Thrones. I'm so sad that the series is now complete, but has been like a love of mine for as long as it's been on HBO. I love the show. Love the character development. I love the story arcs. Love all the surprises. Something that doesn't have a whole lot to do with my brand, but I like to tell people because maybe there's other Game of Thrones fans out there. So make sure that you aren't ignoring any of these 3, and you're also giving yourself permission to get out of that foundation land and to develop some of these maybe like not less important, but less weighty stories. Some of these like shorter quips or metaphors or teaching stories. Sometimes those illustration stories aren't even your own stories. It's just something like from history or an example of a business that you know that can be used to teach a point or to connect on one of your points of view. The reason reason that brands need to tell stories is because humans are hardwired to understand and remember them. So if we ever want to connect on that human level, we need to get out of fact and logic land and connect on that gut psychological level, which happens through stories. Stories are the conduit to make that happen. They allow people to escape their day-to-day lives. Like, they get to live vicariously through you. They allow you to relate to your ideal client, maybe motivate them to achieve their goal, and also to educate them. So you're passing on your knowledge onto them in a way that they will be willing to receive it. So I promised I would share some types of foundational stories that you should have for your brand. If you ever want more detail or more help developing these stories, it's one of the lessons that I cover in my brand new brand program, where I help you build a brand from scratch, A to Z. And of course, we cover how to build and write each of these brand stories. So the first one is your origin story. So how did your brand get birthed into this world? Where did you come from? What is the context of you being here and serving us in the way that you do? The next is your why story. So it might be kind of intertwined with your origin story perhaps, or it might be something different where you talk about the impetus, like the motivation, the like thing that you want to see to be true in the world, your why. So as an entrepreneur, my origin story is more centered around discovering my passion for branding, discovering archetypes and how that influenced my own brand and how I was able to help so many others. But my why story is more related to my kids. So like, I grew up in a family where my dad was an entrepreneur sometimes, like he had some side hustles. But as far as I remember and recall from my childhood, like he only ever broke even. So he always had his day job. He didn't ever actually get to be like a full-time entrepreneur, and that stuck with me. So one of my why, like deep whys, is that I want to show my kids and my family and my friends that entrepreneurship is a viable career path. You don't have to do the whole college, get a job, do the thing, like the expected thing. You can lean into your gifts and build and design a business around the things that you're best at. So that's more of my why story, where the origin is more centered around how my business actually came to be. Another foundational story might be sharing how you came to believe one of your point of view statements. So I believe that there is a genius inside every entrepreneur. So I could tell a story about how I've had conversations with specific entrepreneurs and they've been cast off, discredited in other situations, but they're an absolute genius when it comes to whatever they do in their business. Other foundational stories are the ones that you tell about your clients, like the results that you get. These aren't necessarily going to be repeated over and over and over again, but they are so important for your brand. You need to be demonstrating through social proof, through the work that you're doing out in the world, through the results, like the actual actions that you're taking, the kind of impact that you're having in the world. So those types of like celebration or case study or testimonial stories are very foundational to growing your brand. So I hope this helps. It gives you some ideas for some powerful and potent stories that you can tell in your brand to attract more ideal clients, repel the ones that you don't want to work with or that you aren't going to serve best, and grow your business. Till next time, I will see you soon. Have an awesome day.